Donald Trump backed Elon Musk's demand that federal employees explain their recent accomplishments by the end of Monday or risk getting fired. Well, a lawsuit has been filed against this entire situation. Attorneys for the workers have said in a lawsuit that Musk violated the law with his weekend demand that federal employees explain their accomplishments or risk being fired. The suit has been filed by unions and advocacy groups. It alleges that the email violates laws regarding federal workforce and that the Office of Personnel Management, which sent the email, does not actually have the authority to make this demand. Jake Novak is with us, waiting patiently, live from New York at the moment. Jake, federal worker unions have sued Elon Musk over this demand that they justify their jobs. How do you see this playing out?
Well, what a ridiculous demand from these unions to say that just asking what they did, you used the word accomplishments. It doesn't have to necessarily be accomplishments. They were asked to describe what work they did over the past weekend. Those of us who work in the private sector are used to these kinds of demands all the time. The federal workers that you mentioned earlier, they have a union. And when the federal workforce in America was drastically expanded under President Franklin Roosevelt, they wanted to unionize. And President Roosevelt very wisely didn't allow that, because he knew that those workers would use that union power not to really be accountable to the public. But under President John F. Kennedy, they finally got enough influence over the president, and they did get him to allow these unions. And here's what we're seeing now. You know, we don't just have a larger federal workforce than we did 50 or 60 years ago. We have twice the size of our federal workforce from just 15 years ago. This has to stop. This has to be made accountable. It's not like in the United States. We don't have an aristocracy or a caste system here in the United States. But the political class wants to be treated as if they're aristocracy, and that has to stop. So they'll fight this. But I think at the end of the day, the president's authority to fire and hire and to scrutinize federal workers will be upheld. It may take until we get to the Supreme Court, but I think it will be upheld.
Well, let's wait and see if the unions have a strong legal case. But Jake, thanks so much as always for making time for us on NDTV.